रे ऑर्केस्ट्रा बजा आंटी 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 बदतमीज बदतमीज
Hi, welcome to Con Chicas. This review, we will be looking back at 2013. The best, the worst. We have our top 10 most awesome movies of the year that you must watch. And then we have our top 5 flops, fails, and just plain out disappointments that just avoid if all possible, if you can. Just really, really bad. And we'll tell you why they're really, really bad. But first, we'll start off with the good. Counting down backwards, at our number 10 slot is...
And at number 10, Boss. Yeah, Akshay Kumar makes it one more time onto our top 10. I think us Chicas has we have a very soft spot for him. Oh, especially me, because I love him. Marry me. This is typical Akshay Kumar, just being way more badass and being way more just exuding manliness and just how hardcore he can be. But on the, sort of like the actual storyline, it's actually a really sweet father-son story, which we don't really get from Bollywood. We usually see sort of, sons always defending their moms and, or sisters, or it's always sons defending females. It's always, that's typical storyline. But here we see a son trying to regain his father's love after, a series of incidents that weren't his fault, and you'll find out. But great, I mean, story, and it's also a remake of a South Indian movie. So if you enjoy real authentic masala, then you'll definitely enjoy this film. And if you like Akshay Kumar like me, then you'll definitely enjoy this one, and that's why it's our number.
Number 9, R. Rajkumar. Yes, it is Shahid Kapoor's comeback film. This was his year, and masala flicks are his calling. He was everything a filmy hero should be. Plus, his one-on-one with Sonu Sood was just amazing. Also, the soundtrack was amazing itself. There is not one bad song in there. It's also, oh my god. Sari ke fala sa, ke nache kire. For number 8, a lot of people would agree, while a lot of people would disagree. But us Chicas really thought this should go on our top 10. Amir Khan. Plus, Katrina Kaif was sexy. Just saying. You get great stunts, great chases, great dances. But mainly for the 2 reasons I mentioned, Amir Khan and Katrina, they made this movie. Katrina mostly because, she was eye candy to look at, and I don't mind that. It was Amir who brought everything to life. And since this Doom focused more on, like, the villain and his backstory more than on the heroes, which I can't really stand sometimes, that's why I really loved it so much. Amir made this movie totally worth it, and I love him for that.
At number 7, we have Akshay Kumar. Second film on our, second Aki film on our list, and I think not a lot of people expected a lot from this movie. It was sort of like a silent success, sort of the way Oh My God performed last year, where no one really expected it, but it just, kind of caught on eventually. It's a very smart, witty, based on, in real life, on a real life story. This is also kind of a standout for Akshay. I think we see him normally in very, just kind of over the top, crazy, just typical happy Punjabi or whatnot. But to see him kind of more serious. I mean, it did have its filmy elements, but definitely a different avatar for him, and one that's really quite enjoyable. I mean, he doesn't necessarily tend to change characters much, you know, apart from Tazvir, which was dreadful. So I'm glad to see him try out different roles, and you can tell that this film, you know, did it for him. So definitely one of our top films.
Ram Leela is number 6. Nowhere else will you find the type of chemistry that Ranveer Singh and Deepika Padukone had on screen. It was just intense. Plus, I cannot get over the fact how beautiful everything was. The art direction, the cinematography, the storyline. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a film of epic proportions. A love story of epic proportion. I love you, Ranveer Singh and Deepika. I love you both. So beautiful.
Coming in at number 5, we have Lutera with Ranveer Singh and Sonakshi Sinha. I would say Ranveer really did one of his best performances. I mean, even after Ram Leela, this performance I would say is one of his strongest. And I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you see him just being absolutely just crazy, and all of a sudden being completely toned down. Who would have thought it was possible to calm Ranveer down? I think it's one of the most, I wouldn't say underrated, but it was very quietly enjoyed. I think it deserves a lot more, and I mean, hopefully it'll get some recognition during the award season, but definitely this made Ranveer really stand out, and this actually proved that Sonakshi could actually act. We've seen her do sort of the same typical DC damsel in distress kind of role, and you know, and all these different masala flicks, but then all of a sudden seeing how innocent and weak but yet strong she could be on the big screen. I mean, these scenes were very quiet, very dark, but yet said so much about what was going on between both Ranveer and Sonakshi, and I think this is quite a powerful film. I mean, if you take it for what it is, and definitely one of our top films of 2013. So.
Number 4, Bag Milka Bag. Based on the fact that it was a true story, based on the great Milka Singh, it makes it the most inspirational movie of the year. Farhan Akhtar dedicated himself to this role, and it totally paid off. He was ripped with an 8-pack. That is not easy to do or easy to maintain. This beautiful story will have audiences laughing, crying, and cheering for our hero. Bag Milka Bag!
Coming in at number 3, we have Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, starring Ranbir Kapoor and Deepika Padukone, exes on the big screen, which was actually kind of exciting to see, especially during promos and whatnot. But definitely not anything too out of the ordinary. Typical filmy storyline girl is a total dork with glasses, doesn't make you a loser, and then all of a sudden falls in love with the wild and very Raj-like character, and is eventually turned into grows into or blossoms into a very sexy woman, and then gets the guy, basically. Nothing crazy, but I would say the standout performance was definitely Aditya Roy Kapoor, who's been making the girls since Ashiki 2 came out earlier this year. So a very typical Ranbir, very doing what he does best, filmy awesomeness, and very fresh, youthful film, and it was no wonder. I mean, it was one of the biggest blockbusters. Great music, great pretty much everything. So that's why it's our
number 2, Go Goa Gone. It's a zombie comedy starring Saif Ali Khan. I shouldn't have to say more than that. Songs were great. And it's a movie that keeps your attention all the way through because it's hilarious. Bravo to Saif, who actually pulled this off. Being a new topic in Bollywood, I really, you have no idea how much I had my doubts about this, but it was great. It was fantastic.
Number 1, Kai Poche was our pick for the best film of 2013. Kai Poche is a film based on sort of, I think I would call it one of the best bromance films in Bollywood. Although Kai Poche is not necessarily typical filmy Bollywood, but it definitely had 3 of the most standout performances of this year, and by far one of the most emotional, but yet still very lively, very happy sort of storylines that we get from typical filmy films. But more than that, at the base of it, I would say the friendship between the three main characters is pretty much what drives this film and what makes it such a strong contender and one of the best films of 2013.
And now we get to the worst of the year. Top 5 just really horrible Hindi movies that probably should have never been made and or remade. Number 5.
Top worst films of 2013 comes from John Abraham. Mr. John Abraham, because he's now married. Don't cry, women and single men of the world, and don't cry. You're not really missing much. This film was about an egocentric man-child that only cared about himself. Shocking for, Bollywood heroes, because that's usually all they typically are. Unfortunately, this film was over the top ridiculous. You didn't care about John, you didn't care about anyone in this movie, you just wanted everyone to just go away forever. It was ridiculously over, just ridiculous, over the top ridiculous. And again, Chandigarh, you're too damn sexy. Why are you doing horrible movies like this? And don't ever be paired with John. Please. It's just, you look way better than he does. Don't bother watching this movie. It's just bad. Come on. It's on Netflix. Use it as background noise. That's what I do when I'm cleaning. Yeah.
Our lovely number 4 spot goes to Gori Tere Pyar Mein. Why? Starting up in her career, Kareena Kapoor was one who took on any kind of role just to put herself on the map and make herself big. And it worked out too, because she is one of the biggest female stars in Bollywood right now. So why do you keep doing movies like this? It's not worth your time. You're so much better than this. You're not Kareena Kapoor, starting actress who will just take on any role she is given. You're Kareena Kapoor Khan now. You can do any role you want, you know? And I really don't think you want to do this. The Imran Khan, Kareena Kapoor Jodi is just not good. And I'll take it back to Ek Main Aur Ek Tu. They were not an actual couple in that movie, and that's why they pulled it off. Had they been a couple, I would have been like, no, I don't see it. But they weren't, so it was like, okay, that passes, they're just friends. This movie, they were an actual couple. I don't see it. She's too mature for him, and he can't handle that much woman. No. Story was bad, jokes were bad, songs were horrid. Why did they do this movie again? Why? It's just cut on your heart. Sometimes you have too much work. You need to take a break sometimes.
Our number 3 spot comes from Inkar. Inkar was probably one of the most offensively offensive films this year. As a female, just why do sexy ass people? Why would you do this? And the story, it's sort of like a he-she kind of sexual, not sexual in a good way, sexual, like, anyways, what a waste of talent, honestly. I would have paid over and over to see this couple be on screen. They're just that good looking to see on screen. Unfortunately, as nice as the chemistry was, the storyline and everything else that came with it was definitely not. So that's why it's our number.
As a dedicated Bollywood fan, I watch any and all movies that I possibly can. No matter how horrible, I'll stay to the end and be like, yeah, that was a pretty bad movie. Which is why I'm not ashamed to say I walked out on this movie. It was so bad. Not once have I ever done that. Yeah. That's why the number 2 spot goes to Zanjeer. But you may have your charm in South Indian movies. Maybe it's just the type of roles you play, or maybe it's just because you're incredibly hot. Because you are incredibly hot. But Zanjeer was just horrible, and do not even get me started on Piggy Chops. Yes, Priyanka Chopra, you're hot, but okay, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was just your role that it was so bad. The first 10 minutes of the movie, I was just like, oh god, I've been in here 2 hours. When is this gonna end? I think this was also a remake of a 70s or 80s movie. I don't know. I'm not sure, but if it is, they did not do it justice at all. What were you guys thinking? Nobody was acting in that movie. The plot line was just like, what am I watching again? And the only song I give it credit to is Pinky, because yes, Priyanka Chopra's hot. I love to see her. That is all you get from the movie, which is a song you could gladly watch on YouTube. No point in watching this movie at all. Lovely Himatwala. We dubbed this movie as number 1 simply because there was so much expectation from this movie, and I do get that. I really do. This was just a really bad movie. So the makers of this movie were just like, oh yeah, it's a total modern remake of the older movie. And, it just has a new storyline, everything's modern, it's up to date. There was nothing up to date in that movie, except for a line Ajay says when he's like, oh, What are you doing? This is in 1983. Everything else looks like it could have been made in the 80s. Everything else looks like it belonged in the 80s. I'd rather be watching the 80s original. At least the 80s one has to Debbie in it, and she's awesome. Yeah, to build up so much hype for that movie, just to have it disappoint like that, it's not worth anyone's time. It's not even a movie that's so bad it's good. I'll give it credit, the songs were okay. They weren't horrible songs, yet they weren't great. I'd rather be listening to 80s.
This concludes our list for our worst films of 2013. Here's hoping 2014 is a lot better and we don't get so much crap. Yay!
That wraps up 2013. We hope you really see the movies that we mentioned in our top 10. Yeah, there were some other movies this year that were close, 11, 12, it just didn't make it. But these, I think, are the best movies to see this year. If you're like struggling on time, at least see the top 5. They are just amazingly glorious. Until next time when we start our 2014 reviews. Woohoo!
What the music?